So Rod, why don't we spend a couple of minutes, talking publicly about why this coming together of SHR and Avio makes so much sense?
Absolutely. I think, sure. I mean, it's if we think back to when we first met, 7, 8 years, maybe 10 years ago, I forget. It was already sort of at a very initial level. That idea was there in terms of what a CRS is doing kind of with distribution holistically, but the approach that you were taking already even at that time with Booking Engine, and Allora wasn't even in the picture, and we already were seeing, hey, I think we can collaborate here and do things, in a much interesting way. And I think one of the things that makes so much sense now, even more than then, is the fact that with Allora where it is, it allows us to drive towards that vision that we discovered both companies had of creating this unified experience where you do not see this artificial line that our industry has created between website and Booking Engine. And really, I'm super excited about seeing that come to fruition because of what you guys have done and what we have in terms of the sort of overall revenue generation, as a platform.
Totally. And I think some of the things that really struck me and gave me such a strong first impression visiting the SHR team in Houston was the synergy and the sense I had that our people are such disruptive thinkers, creative, innovative thinkers that sort of bring that together with real passion for this industry and really driving value for our customers. And I just had this really strong sense very early on that, wow, these two cultures just come together beautifully. So I think the combination of what you guys have developed and how you think about distribution, CRM, revenue management, automated process management, together with our niche focus on the direct channel, I think it's such a powerful combination.
Yeah, and even recently, as our teams are starting to work together, at least at a very initial phase and getting to know each other, it's really encouraging for me to see the feedback coming back and saying, wow, this is going to be great. Like everybody kind of knew it and everybody understood why this made so much sense. But then now when different teams are coming together and then coming back and saying, oh, this is really cool.
Right.
That's very encouraging to me. That's on all kinds of fronts, not just from the technology side of things, but talking about the support teams and how you do things and how similar that is to how we approach helping our clients. So I think that that's one of the most difficult things to accomplish if you set out to create that. And then if you think about bringing two cultures together, that's really very difficult. And so it's now that we're in the process that we've started, seeing that beginning to show up and realizing that, well, that is going to be not an impediment. It actually is going to be fuel for what we want to do, that our people think so alike, right?
Yeah. And I think some of the conversations I've had with Avio customers and SHR customers since this sort of coming together of our two companies, the strong impression I've had has been the real excitement in the industry now about what we can achieve together that we perhaps couldn't have as separate entities. I see that really echoed by a lot of thought leaders and consultants in the market who are very aware that there are still major gaps in terms of how technology serves or maybe underserves hospitality. So to be able to really combine the best of, both of our brands and our culture, our people, our innovation, I think it's a real 1 + 1 = 3 scenario.
Yeah. And again, one of the things that I see as a very clear manifestation of that in terms of the synergies is when, we see the retention engine that Allora has and how it identifies reservations that are at risk of cancellation, which, as you've put it, the reservation canceled eliminates all the efforts that went into that conversion, right? So if somebody doesn't show up, it doesn't count for anything. So the retention engine is incredibly valuable for a hotelier, but it's very hard to address each one of those at-risk transactions one by one manually. And when you think about actioning that information and that data that Allora can provide, most of the time you're going to do it through a CRM, whether that's a quick message, whether that's the inclusion of a discount, whether that's a kind of a drip campaign that stays with a client. That's going to be done through a CRM. And yet, even then, although it's closer to making the actioning of that information very fluid and easy to complete, it even gets better when you say, oh, but I can automate that and I can create rules and triggers and then actions and let that happen and let technology free our hotel clients up to do what they do well, which is provide hospitality and delight guests and create memories. And hotels, as you know, are going through a really difficult time in terms of every one of us as a guest continues to expect a lot, right? And expect excellence. And now when you're doing it with fewer people, that creates a lot of tension. So if technology can come in and with things like that our two offerings coming together can bring to the table, then we're really creating value to a hotelier because we're freeing them to do what they do well. So that really is very exciting, and I know it's very exciting for our teams.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I think Allora has become very effective, very clever, essentially, at assessing and predicting the risk of cancellation per booking. But of course, what we've always lacked, and which SHR have, is the ability to turn that sort of early warning message of which guest booking is more or less likely to cancel. Now, by coming together, we can finally help hotels more by automating that message and actually really delivering proactive guest communication and retaining perhaps a very high value piece of business that may have cancelled at short notice with very little opportunity to recover that revenue.
Yeah.
There's real value there.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting is that Allora now could have information from multiple channels, right? That including channels that are usually kind of left out of the real interesting data and data analytics, like the GDS.
Yeah,
right.
True.
So I don't know. We haven't talked a lot about this, but the idea of having the great analytics that Allora is bringing to a hotel now apply to a wider range of transactions, and then therefore fueling a wider range of decisions, right? Whether that has to do with retention or upsell or just information to a guest that's relevant and timely. I think that our teams will discover more and more hidden jewels in that collaboration as we go after it. Yeah.